Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Dave, and this is my WrestleMania 32 recap. I'm not going to go in any particular order for the matches, just going to go through them. You're going to see me look down once in a while. I have some notes written down. I didn't want to forget stuff. So let's get into it. First off, WrestleMania was last night. It was one of the longest WrestleManias or pay-per-views I can remember in a long, long time. I thought way too long. I was exhausted and ready to go to sleep by 10:30. I just wanted the show to be over. It didn't end till about 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, around there. So let's get into it again. No particular order. We'll start with the kickoff show. They opened up. They had the Kalisto versus Ryback for the U.S. title. Real quick, I didn't see it. I came late to the kickoff show. I came midway through the 10 Diva match, tag team match. Could care less about the United States title anymore. Could care less about Kalisto. If you've watched my channel, you know I'm not a big fan of Ryback, so didn't care. Don't care. Kalisto went over. Good for him. They've killed that title, and they need to build that back up. The 10 Diva match, like I said, I caught it late, didn't really care again. Team Diva, Total Divas, whatever, they won. Who cares? They're issuing in a new era of women's wrestling. They got rid of the Divas title. They had Lita there to announce the new women's title, which kind of looks like a female version of the WWE title, which I thought was actually pretty cool looking. I liked it. I thought it would look sharp, and I think that really solidifies that the women's championship now and the women's division is women's wrestling. They could look good, but it's women's wrestling. They're not divas, and I think that kind of issued out the old divas, giving them their 10-person match, getting them all involved, and issuing out that Divas era, and we'll move it into a women's wrestling division now, which is going to be awesome, and I'll talk about that match later on. Then we had the Usos versus the Dudley Boys. Just pure garbage. Dudley Boys deserve so much more. They have such a great heel tag team. They should be at least putting over some of the young talent at this point. Usos went over. Then they did a splash through the tables. No one cared. I heard through a lot of people tweeting and everything that were live in Dallas that the Usos were getting booed heavily, even during the table spot. So that is very significant. And as you know, again, I'm not a huge Uso fan. I can't stand the Usos. I don't get them. I think they're overrated. Again, these are my personal opinions, and I'm going to get into a little bit more about my opinions and some issues I had last night on some people on Twitter. Go back in your mom's basement. If you don't like what I say, it's opinions. If you want to start your own YouTube channel, go do it. It's not that hard, and it's free. Start your own Twitter account. But I had a lot of people on Twitter bitching and moaning about some of my tweets. I don't care. It's my opinion. Again, my background, I've been a wrestling fan since I was 12 years old, trained to be a professional wrestler in 2000 through 2001, out in Holbrook on Long Island with some ECW former wrestlers. I remember sitting after a show in a local Applebee's with Joey Matthews. Yes, that Joey Matthews, part of M&M Security. Joey Matthews when he was tagging in the indie industry, in the indies with Christian York. And I sat there with 2 or 3 other students with Joey Matthews sitting at a table, drinking beers, eating, appetizers and shit, and talking for about an hour. He was giving us basically the rundown of the business, the indies. He was just such an awesome guy. So I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. I've done a lot of stuff. I've watched, I've read, I've interacted with different wrestlers, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Mick Foley. So, I've spoke to a lot of professionals, Jake the Snake Roberts. I know a little bit. I don't know everything. I'm not sitting here saying I'm the be-all, end-all, but I know a little bit more than the average basement-dwelling, mom's house fan. So I'm going to get into that, though, too, to prove some of those idiots wrong. So this is going to be a real good review and recap because I am pissed off and angry at the show itself and some of the douchebaggery I had to deal with last night. So let's get into WrestleMania opens. They start with the ladder match for the Intercontinental title. And that match was phenomenal. I loved it. In my preview prediction episode that I didn't have a video out. It was on the part of my podcast last week. I not jokingly, I wanted Zack Ryder, but I said realistically, I didn't think they were going to give him the title. So I got to be honest, the match was awesome. Spots were great. Those guys really gave it their all. Zayn, Owens, Miz, Sin Cara, Stardust, Ryder, who else was in it? I'm sure I'm missing somebody. Let me take a look. Like I said, I have notes because it's so much. Oh, and Ziggler. Talk about being buried and not mattering anymore. Poor Dolph. But I gotta be honest, guys. I was sitting there watching it. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, they're gonna let Owens keep it, or they're gonna move it on to Zayn. That was my thought. So when you saw Miz up there and he was gonna get it, I'm like, they're not gonna give it to Miz. They can't give it to Miz. And then you saw Ryder out of nowhere, and I was okay. So who's gonna come in now and stop Ryder? But when you saw Ryder up there grabbing it, and no one was in the ring with him at all, no one was even attempting to get in the ring. When he pulled that title down, I marked out. I jumped up. I started clapping, cheering. That's my boy. I love that guy. He's a Long Island-owned professional wrestler. He grew up in the town that I grew up in. I'm older than him, but he grew up in Merrick, Long Island. That's where I grew up. So I was so happy for him. So glad to see him get a shot with the Intercontinental title. I hope they don't mess it up. I hope they really have him do some, go into some good feuds and good contests, because he really deserves it, and that was awesome. That was a great spot. And that's where I thought WrestleMania was going to kick off and be a fantastic show. Boy, oh boy, was I wrong. So we got that cool Intercontinental title match. We get then into the AJ Styles, Chris Jericho. I'm like, okay, awesome. Again, guys, I might not be going in the right particular order. I have stuff written down. I don't remember the order of most of the matches, but whatever. So we get into Styles and Jericho, and I'm like, all right, this is Styles. They got to give the win to Styles. Styles needs it. It'll be great. He's on the big stage. Give him the win. Jericho doesn't need it, and let me get into why. Jericho did not need a win because just at the end of the day, Chris Jericho is Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho could lose for the next year, and he will still be Chris Jericho, the first ever undisputed heavyweight champion, multi-time champion, WWE, WCW this, world heavyweight title, tag team title, and a continental title. Chris Jericho is Chris Jericho. Him losing to anybody is not going to affect that at this point. He should be there now as a marquee guy to put over young talent, or talent that's newer to the WWE fans if they weren't into TNA or know much about AJ Styles. And of course, good match, very good match. I don't like how they're using the Styles Clash, using it as like everybody's Chris Jericho. I think that's the second time now he's kicked out of that. It's kind of like a setup move. That's his finishing move. That should be treated like a finishing move, but they don't treat finishing moves anyway anymore, which is just fucking horrendous. So anyway, Jericho went over. Jericho pins AJ Styles at WrestleMania 32. Why? What does that do for AJ Styles? That's kind of like when Triple H beat Sting last year. They should have just gave Sting his moment. Sting should have gotten his win at WrestleMania. Triple H did not need that win. Chris Jericho did not need this win. Chris Jericho will be gone in a couple months. I think April or May, or not April, May. We're in April. I think in May he's going to be gone for a while. AJ Styles should have went over. It would have been the big stage, the big moment. Here's AJ Styles, brand new to the WWE, because they don't want to mention anything about TNA. Apparently, he hasn't done anything really in the last 10 years, except wrestle over in Japan. They never mention TNA, which whatever. That's their prerogative. That's fine. It's their business. They can do what they want. Most people don't like to mention their competitors. Not even that TNA is a competitor. TNA is a piece of garbage anyway. Most of those wrestlers ended up in NXT anyway. So what's happened when you can't pay your superstars? But anyway, AJ Styles should have went over. Deserved it. Chris Jericho could, like I said, he could lose for a year. He would still remain Chris Jericho. Nothing's ever going to change that. That was bad booking, horrible decision. And at that moment, I was like, okay, here we go. 50-50 on how I felt the show should go. And, I mean, the audience, you could tell, was not happy. Twitterverse was not happy. And we move on. Go along. Let's see what was next up, what I have here. Okay. So let's get into what I thought was supposed to be the tag team title match, but apparently it wasn't for the tag team titles. We had the New Day, which was so over. I love the New Day. I was wearing my New Day shirt with Lauren and I had our horns on, and they come out of the big box of Bootios, which is hilarious. They come out. They're in this whole new garb. People saying they look like some guys from Pokemon or whatever, or not Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, whatever. I never got into that, so I don't know. They come out. Then the League of Shitty Nation comes out, and I mean, whatever. Again, New Day should have won. I know people are going to go, oh, well, why did League of Nations have to win? League of Nations are irrelevant. Bad News Barrett, I think, is gone. I think as of today, I think he's done today. Who knows? But he's irrelevant. League of Nations did not need to win. And if they only won because they wanted to have the three superstars come back, they had Mick Foley, HBK, and Stone Cold Steve Austin came out, interacted with League of Nations, and then destroyed them because League of Nations, after they beat New Day, was saying, no threesome can beat. No, that's bullshit. League of Nations should have lost. New Day should have won, went over. The crowd would have popped like crazy. It keeps their flow going. League of Nations did not need to win. They're not doing anything with League of Nations. League of Nations is garbage. So what they could have done, and here's why sometimes fans should have a little say, or people that love the product in booking. What they should have done was have New Day go over League of Nations. Then what's wrong with League of Nations just coming in there and destroying New Day, beating the crap out of them, because it is, again, 4-3. And then you have them get on the mic and say their shit, and then the HBK, Austin, and Foley come out and destroy them. No, they have League of Nations pin the New Day. They just pinned their tag champions. No one wants to see New Day versus League of Nations anymore. We want to see Enzo and Cass come up, or give some of the other tag teams a shot. The poor Ascension has been buried since they've come up. Buried. Let the Dudleys feud for the title. Bring up some other tag team. I don't know. So anyway, another garbage match. I thought the ending was bullshit. And okay, great. We got the. I love seeing McFoley. Love McFoley. Another Long Island dude. Love Steve Austin. Loved HBK. He was my idol growing up. That's who him and a couple other wrestlers is who I always wanted to portray myself as I trained. But I mean, is it really that special anymore seeing these guys since we see them all the time? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I popped. I was like, oh, awesome. But I still was pissed that New Day lost. Next up, let's get to what do we got here? Okay, we're gonna do. Let's talk about Lesnar and Ambrose in the street fight. Good match. Good match. I'm glad Lesnar went over. He had to go over, unless there were gonna be like 20 guys come in and help Ambrose out, which wasn't gonna happen. So Lesnar went over. That was good booking. But the weird thing was, how do you have a street fight? And I know they don't like the blood anymore and everything, but someone's got to bleed. Someone had a blade. Someone had to do a blade job. And I love when Brock blades, because he just everywhere. Someone had to cut themselves. What kind of street fight? No one sheds blood? Good match though overall. Ambrose was great. It's not going to kill Ambrose because really, realistically, and if you're looking at these two, just look-wise, there's no way that you thought Ambrose was going to come out of this winning, and just Ambrose fighting and keeping up with Brock is going to be good for Brock. Good for Lesnar. Good for Lesnar. Good for Ambrose. Gives him a good rub. And I think, that's someone that they should be focusing the main events on and the title on, opposed to Reigns. But we'll get into that later, because Ambrose was way over with the crowd. And I think Brock gave him a good rub, even though Brock went over. See, that was smart booking, because even Brock going over, Brock should go over Ambrose. You look at those two, and he towers over. He's huge compared to Ambrose. That was smart booking, and that will help Ambrose, and Ambrose just elevated to another level of main event status. Then we get into, I'm skipping around here. Let's get into the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Again, for a show that just wants to get people on the show, the Battle Royal I thought was kind of, the ending was cool. I like that they let Baron Corbin win, but the only way I think that works, letting Baron Corbin win that, is if Baron Corbin is now called up to the main level, the main roster at WWE, and he's on Raw tonight and making a significant impact. And a significant impact would be maybe, they have Ryder out there with his championship, all happy that he won. Maybe have Corbin come out. Now you start a feud for the Intercontinental title, Corbin and Ryder. Somehow maybe integrate Owens and Zayn. There could be some awesome matches right there with those four guys. So it all depends on how the WWE is going to book this now. If they book it, where Corbin just doesn't appear on Raw, or, he's on Smack, it could be poorly done. They just gave a young talent a big spot. He won the Andre the Giant. When you say Andre the Giant and someone else's name in it, that's a big deal. Andre the Giant was one of the best big men in the business ever. Baron Corbin now, this is his opportunity, and it's all up to the WWE booking on what they're going to do. They have a superstar in the making, or they have a future dud. Let's see what they do. All right, let's get into the Hell in the Cell match. I'm jumping around, like I said, but let's get into the Hell in the Cell match. Okay. First off, Shane is one sick son of a bitch, and Shane's always been crazy. I remember watching Shane in the early 2000s. That kid was great. I always loved Shane because he did go out there and put his body on the line. He was one of the boys, and he really showed that he deserved to be in a lot of those matches, and he did not disappoint. He comes out with his 3 sons. He's got the family in the front row. There was Linda and his wife, and it was great. Undertaker, I love Undertaker. I remember seeing Undertaker the first time when I was 12 years old, watching WrestleMania 8. He fought Jake the Snake Roberts, another wrestler that I absolutely loved. And Undertaker still mesmerizes me. He is looking older now, which is sad, because every year he's just looking older and older. But he's still in pretty great shape for an older dude. They put on a good match. The match was very good. Slow at points, but you got to expect that. Undertaker's, in his 50s? And Shane is not a everyday wrestler. And he's probably, pushing early 40s, maybe, I would think, give or take. Very good match, though. Very good. I was entertained. And that spot that Shane did at the top, and everybody's saying, oh my God, but there was an airbag underneath the table. The fucking guy was still 20-plus feet in the air. He's not an everyday wrestler. He's a human being like everybody else. He still did an elbow drop from there through a table onto an airbag. Yes, granted, there was an airbag to protect him so he doesn't fucking kill himself. But he still went through a table. I like to see all those trolls all over Twitter bashing him. I like to see them climb up there and do that, because they wouldn't. They wouldn't. Great. It was a very good match. Great spot. Undertaker won. That's what had to happen. I mean, unless some miracle, people are going to come out and help Shane. But again, there weren't many surprise run-ins and stuff like that, which was kind of surprising. But Undertaker won, hit the tombstone, hit the last ride. Shane's a champ, man, and I really hope that he sticks with and stays in the WWE to do some stuff, because I've always loved Shane. I think Shane's great, and that was a good match, very good match. Let's get into the Triple Threat Women's title match. Fantastic match. Those girls are phenomenal. I am getting a little tired of the Ric Flair scenario now. Let Charlotte break from him, and let Charlotte be her own woman. She doesn't need her father there anymore, and him getting involved in every match is kind of defeats the purpose of having these great women's matches when you have a guy, always getting involved in helping his daughter. Let the women shine. Let them just do what they do. I was really hoping that Sasha Banks won the title, and I really thought they would, especially with a new title now, have a new champion to really usher in this new belt. It's kind of weird that they just did a lateral move and just kept the title on Charlotte and just hand her this new belt. I was really hoping Banks would get the win. But you know what? This sets up some great matches. And Charlotte had one of the most perfect moonsaults I have ever seen off the top rope to the outside of the ring. It was perfect in the setup, the look, the finish. Just a perfect moonsault. These 3 women are fantastic. I hope Bayley gets to call up now that she lost the NXT Women's title. I'd like to see Bayley get thrown in the mix. And the women's division looks very good, very bright. And I'm glad that Triple H with NXT is really focusing on getting some great women into the WWE. Because they're setting up for some great matches in the future. And I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And I cannot wait till Banks gets that title. That wherever she wins that, whatever location they are, that place is going to pop. Huge. All right, so let's get into now The Rock. So The Rock came out. Always cool to see The Rock, but I mean, at this point, we were already pushing at 10:30 at night. Everybody was expecting the show to end at 11 like usual, but no. I mean, Rock comes out, does this long intro, long entrance, something with a flamethrower, lights up his name. I didn't care. I love The Rock, but I was like, okay, come on, let's get to the main event. I'm tired. People got to get to work and get their kids to school and everything the next day. So The Rock comes out, and then he's cutting his promo, and boom, Bray Wyatt's screen comes up, and Bray, Eric Rowan, and Braun Strowman come out. No Luke Harper, because Harper is injured, which sucks. So they come out, and they confront The Rock. Now, at this point, I was tweeting how... The Rock, I love The Rock, but he cannot, they can't keep burying Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is a very good talent. Has people, he's not talented. Fuck you. Bray Wyatt is very talented. He's super charismatic, great on the microphone, and that's what they want. That's what they don't have in Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns may look like a wrestler, but he has no mic skills. The crowd hates him, and he's got 3 or 4 moves. Okay? Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper of the Wyatt family are very talented. Strowman and Braun Strowman and Eric Rowan, I'll give you, they just seem like big dudes that don't know much to do, and they're kind of like limited. So anyway, they come out, they cut a promo. You got these three massive dudes in the ring with The Rock, 3 versus 1, and for some reason The Rock's going back at them. Why they didn't attack The Rock and just beat the crap out of him, then have Cena come out and save him, I don't know. But The Rock has to get his words in there, making fun of Bray. Then they do an impromptu match where he beats Eric Rowan in like 6 seconds. Who cares? Owen's done. Might as well just give it... Owens, I'm sorry. Rowan's done. Give him his pink slip and adios. Enjoy TNA for the next 2-3 years of your career. Then Cena comes out to save The Rock, but as the Cena's coming out to return, he's coming in to save The Rock, he has to stop and show his little towel and do his whole entrance. Very odd. So he comes in, and then they bury Bray Wyatt. And I got some douchebag on Twitter like, oh, Bray Wyatt sucks. And because I said something like, why are they having these two has-beens? And when I say has-beens, let me explain that. Has-beens meaning The Rock is still great, but Rock is not an everyday wrestler. John Cena is John Cena. We know how he's felt, but John Cena is getting closer to the end of his career than he is to the beginning or middle. So having these two guys bury Bray Wyatt, who you've had last year wrestle The Undertaker at WrestleMania. You've had him in some bigger feuds. You had him just feuding with Brock Lesnar during the Royal Rumble just a couple months ago. They obviously have big plans for Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family. Why are you having The Rock and Cena bury him? The Rock comes once a year or so, and Cena is Cena. Cena's almost done with his career. Why? Why do they consistently want to bury the future of the WWE? The guys are there at every house show. The guys are there at every Monday Night Raw, every SmackDown, every pay-per-view, busting their ass, and they're getting buried by The Rock? They did not need to do that. Especially to Bray Wyatt. You want to bury Rowan and Strowman, that's fine, but not Bray. And I had this douchebag on Twitter saying, I'd rather shit in my hands and clap than root for Bray. They suck. I was like, what are you talking about? Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper are very talented. I gave them Strowman and Rowan. Absolutely, I don't think they're great. They're overrated. They're not good. And said some shit. I was like, you know what? Let's just agree to disagree. Then he got all on his, I guess mommy and daddy upstairs were telling him to stop, so I didn't hear any more twittering from him. And then I had some other idiot, because I bitched about the show, saying it's been very bad. I thought the ladder match was great. I thought the women's title match was great. Shane's spot was fantastic. Otherwise, I thought it was a very underwhelming pay-per-view. And some other guy was like, are you retarded? Retarded. So I responded, are we watching the same show? And by the way, I asked them, what exactly is a retard? Because the word is retarded, you moron. Listen, guys, I'm a cool guy. You guys have been watching my channel, but I'm not going to deal with stupid trolls bashing me. Learn the spell, first off. It's called spell check or Google before you fucking want to bash somebody. It's retarded. R-E-T-A-R-D-E-D, not R-E-T-A-R-T. Again, I love for someone to tell me, what is a retard? Is that like a Pop-Tart you open up and it looks a little dysfunctional? What is a retard, you moron? I gotta tell you, put myself out there on YouTube and put myself out there on Twitter and Facebook, I don't mind, I don't care. I'll take this shit, but I'm going to hit you back. You want to come at me, I'm going to hit you back. And that's the way it's going to roll. I got idiots on YouTube that are constantly, once in a while, writing comments. Like, I remember one time they wrote that myself, Lauren, and Anthony were the worst YouTubers. Okay. I'm not claiming to be the greatest YouTuber. But I have... we do have subscribers. We have people that like our channel. I like doing what I do. I do it with my daughter. I do it with my cousin. If you don't like it, don't fucking watch it. Anyway, let's get to the main event. So we finally get to the main event, and it's Triple H versus Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship. We get this long, entrance from Triple H, which is okay. Triple H, for a dude in his mid-40s, is in phenomenal shape. I would kill to look like that at that age. And Stephanie, I'm not going to lie, I've always loved Stephanie. I always thought she was a very good character. I always thought she was very attractive, and she looked phenomenal. She had a great look. They both looked great. And then Roman Reigns comes out to a rain of boos that the WWE producers decided, let's mic these boos down a little bit. Seems like WCW back in the old days, right? When they were piping in Goldberg chants. Now they're piping down the audience because they don't want them to hear boos. But the boos were so loud, and chants during this match were so loud that you still heard it over them trying to dub it over. You had an ole, 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 ole chant during the match. You had a Roman sucks chant during the main event. That is not a good sign for the WWE, but Vince has a hard-on for Roman Reigns and will continue to throw him down our throats, force him down, force feed us until we just accept it. But I like that the WWE Universe is fighting back and fighting the good fight, because Roman Reigns does not deserve to be a three-time WWE champion. Three-time WWE champion, and he's main evented WrestleMania 2 years in a row now. How many for CM Punk? 0. How many for Roman Reigns? 2. That is just sad. I know people, give up on CM Punk. He's never returning. First off, it's wrestling. Never say never. You obviously haven't watched long enough. Never say never when it comes to wrestling, okay? Will he ever return? Maybe not. But never say never in the world of professional wrestling, because in my years of watching, I've seen some of the craziest things happen when people said it was never going to happen again. Okay? Second, the fact that Roman Reigns is a 3-time WWE champion already is very scary and very alarming, because there are a lot of wrestlers that have, in the past, present, and future, that will maybe never get a shot at the WWE title, and they deserve it a lot more than Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is overrated. He's got the look, but he's only got a few moves. He's got the spear, that stupid Superman punch, and, a couple other little moves he throws in there once in a while. The match was okay. I'm not going to bash the match. The match was okay. Triple H still phenomenal shape, still looked good, still told a good story. There were certain points. The spear through the barricade was pretty awesome, I'm not going to lie. And the spear that Stephanie took, she's a champ. She took a sick spear. There are some boys in the back there that don't take the spear that well. She did. But then it was weird, because then she got outside and she lifted up a sledgehammer that's supposed to be so heavy. She just lifted it up with ease after she got speared, hands it to Triple H. That was pretty bad booking, pretty bad. It was just a bad visual. You see the sledgehammer that he's had forever that's supposed to be really heavy, and you got this chick who just got speared on the ground, lifting it up like that, handing it to him in the ring. It was kind of weak. That was kind of bad. Just bad visual booking there that they did. But anyway, Reigns went over. Reigns won the title to boos. When you hear people calling in that were live, they were saying that the boos were astronomically loud. The WWE was dubbing the sound down. There were points when the announcers were a lot louder than the crowd, and that tells you that the producers were playing with the audio levels to mask some of those boos. So that's not a good sign. And he's going to come out tonight, and he's going to be booed automatically on Raw, and that's what the WWE has done, and they deserve what's happening now. There were so many other ways they could have booked Roman Reigns to this point, and he would have been so over. And I've gone into what I would have done a year ago for the last year for that WWE title with Reigns. I'm not going to go into it again, but there's ways that they could have booked him a lot better than they have, and that's their own fault, and that's because their writers, a lot of them, are bad. They don't know what they're doing. It's a very sad time in the WWE at certain points. But some of the show was good. So I'm going to give the show overall out of 10. I'm giving it myself a 6 out of 10. I thought the show was the show had potential to be really, really, really good. When you watch the matches, if certain endings were booked differently. But the show itself I felt was good, but a lot of the endings were bad. I thought burying the Wyatts was horrible. And you know what's funny? The douches on Twitter that want to sit there and bash me, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's funny, I listen to the Taz podcast. You remember Taz, former ECW champion, former tag team champion in the WWF, announcer forever, TNA, everything. Taz, who's been around for a long time, Taz actually agrees with what I said also. He said also he didn't understand why The Rock was burying Bray Wyatt and the rest of the Wyatts. And JR agreed to a point too. JR agreed if it's not booked correctly on Raw, which it probably won't be. So JR and Taz and other, Mike Johnson of PWI, a lot of other professional people in the business agreed with what I said, but I have these two or three trolls living in their mom and dad's basement bashing me. You know what? You know what to do. Anyway, that was my WrestleMania recap of WrestleMania 32. Sorry if I seem a little angry in this one. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I wasn't happy with some of the stuff that happened at WrestleMania, and then having to deal with trolls all night on Twitter. It is what it is, but I'm going to come back at you if you're wrong. It is what it is. If you like this, remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you thought of WrestleMania 32. And find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Everyday Geek TV. Thanks, guys. Catch you on the next one.